Welcome, friends. This is your brother Obin and Joseph here, known as Mr. Nice. Today, we are going to talk about the origin of the Bible. Before we delve into the main origin, there is one thing you need to know. First, Christ never ordered anyone to write the Bible. Christ never wrote anyone by himself. Christ never told anybody to learn his religion, Christianity, from the Bible. There were no printing press until after 1400 years Christ died. As at that time, many people does not know how to read and write, up more than 80% or rather. If Christ would have want people to learn his religion only from the Bible, he wouldn't have instituted his church, through which his teaching were taught until the time when the Bible was produced. This is for those who always doubt or continue to question where is into the Bible. The dealings of God and the instructions of God is not limited to the Bible, just like many of us have experienced in their own personal life. I also learned from the person of Apostle Robo Michael, my senior brother, when he was talking about the Holy Spirit instructing him to live a particular damn cell in order that his life will change and his power be manifested in his life. He was saying that he thought that it is when you wait on the Lord and the power will come, just as it was in the Bible. So God have a different package for different persons. Now we delve into the main matter. It all started as the time of the apostles, and as at the time or the year 300 AD, Pope Damasus convened the Council of Rome, in which he instructed collection and compilation of the sacred books written by the apostles from the known world. The church then, very slowly and carefully, examining all the books, especially the ones that were written by the apostles. And so the book that we ascertained by the church to have been written by the apostles, we are bonded together, and this gives rise to what we call today the New Testament. The term New Testament was given by the then Pope Tertullian. This took quite a long time to get all of this, and it was considered by various councils that questioned them, of which one of those councils is called the Council of Carthage in 397 AD, when they all settled with the available books. The books were sent to Pope for confirmation. It was again reconfirmed by the Second Council of Carthage in the year 1419 AD, or rather 419 AD, and was presided over by St. Augustine, Bishop, and was then sent to Pope Boniface for approval. Does it now suggest that the Bible comes from the Catholic Church? Yes, the Bible comes from the Catholic Church, and the Bible is one of the Catholic books or material for instruction and teaching, and not the only books for instruction and teaching. And all the New Testament writers like Paul, Peter, Matthew, Luke, James, they are all members of the Catholic Church. If you don't know it now. Now let us proceed. Dictionary has its own definition of the Bible, but the Christian definition of the Bible is the collection of books written by men, but with the help of the Holy Spirit, in such a way that the writers, while writing the teachings of God, would not make many mistakes. The Bible is divided into two parts, as we know, the New Testament and the Old Testament. The Old Testament contains the history of the Jewish people and their religion up to the time of Jesus Christ. The New Testament, in the other hand, tells us the story of the life of Jesus Christ. The New Testament was written by different writers, beginning with the Gospel of Matthew, which was written by Matthew, one of the apostles of Jesus Christ. It was written 12 years after the ascension of Jesus Christ, between the year 40 to 50 AD. Now, there is something called the canonicity of the Bible. Canon means a list of authoritative books that make up the New Testament. There were many other early Christian documents, and some of them may have been very useful, while others were heretical, just like the book of the Enoch, which is an old book. It is heretical. It does not glorify God. The canon is the list of those that God has given to the church by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. Now, in deciding which book should be in the Bible, three criteria we are leveled on, And the first one is the apostolicity of the book, the orthodoxity of the book, and the catholicity of the book. Now we begin with the apostolicity. For a book to be included in the canon, it had to be linked to an apostle, especially the New Testament, or to someone who had seen the risen Christ and had heard his teaching in person. There were other books that may have been helpful to Christians, but if they did not have an apostolic connection, they were rejected as non-canonical. The orthodoxity of the Bible means that any document that contradicted the accepted teaching of the apostles were rejected. The apostles' teaching was transmitted orally for years before the New Testament, as we know it today, existed. Oral transmission within cultures that practices it has been shown to be very accurate. That's why some teachings in the Catholic Church are not emphatically that are directly written in the Bible, but they have Bible references and connections, and some of them are oral tradition. That's what we call it, or the traditions of the church. They have a separate book for it, not really included in the Bible. Now we talk about the Catholicity of the Bible. There was a number of other books that may have been helpful and doctrinally correct, and were used by portions of the church in various locations. However, to be considered canonical, a book had to be broadly accepted and recognized of its authoritative nature across the Christian world. Letters written by St. Paul to churches in Asia Minor were saved, copied, and circulated all over civilized world, and Christians all over the world recognized their authoritative nature. That is what we would expect if God was actually involved in the process of deciding the canon. As these tests of authoritative were applied, these give rise to the 27 books that emerge as the New Testament. As you already know, that the Old Testament has always been there and used by the Jews for the symbolic representative of all that Jesus was to be fulfilled, and he fulfilled them. And Pope Siricius gave the compiled, accepted, and ascertained sacred books the name Bible, that is both the Old and the New Testament. After being ascertained, Pope Siricius is the person that gave those sacred books Bible. But you know, as at this time, there was no chapters and verses. The books of the Bible were originally written. They did not contain chapter or verse references. The Bible was divided into chapters and verses to help us find scriptures more quickly and easily. The chapter divisions commonly used today were developed by Stephen Langton, a Catholic Archbishop of Canterbury. Langton put the modern chapter divisions into place around the year 1227 AD. The Wycliffe English Dictionary that was produced in 1382 AD was the first Bible to use this chapter pattern. The Hebrew Old Testament was divided into verses by a Jewish rabbi by the name Nathan in 1448 AD. Then Robert Estina, who was also known as Stephanus, was the first to divide the New Testament into standard numbered verses in the year 1555 AD. There was an issue of the removing of some part of the Bible and the skipping of it in the whole Bible. That's why there are some books that is in the Catholic Bible and they are not in other Bible. How does this happen? You can check the origin of the Pentecostal church. You will see what happened. But let me continue with as per this topic now. The reason for not printing the Apocrypha within the Bible would prove to be less costly to produce at the time of publication. And you know, as at that time, there is no typewriting, there is no computer, there is no laptop. Everything was produced by handwriting. And in order to make the work less stressful, it was produced lesser, and some books of the Bible were not included at some time. And after this, the King James Version omit the Apocrypha section. But when the Bible was produced, it has all of it, the complete Bible, that is 72 books of the Bible. Then, after this, come the problem of Luther, who, as per a person, removed the entire 7 books of the Bible, even including some of the New Testament. Luther, in the year 1534, was the first to separate or remove the Apocrypha as an intertestamental section with a note explaining they are not divinely inspired. Then the Geneva Bible followed this example in 1599 AD. Then King James Version in 1611 also printed the Apocrypha, but it was removed in 1885 AD. Luther first removed some part of the Bible like Esther and Daniel, then later entirely removed the book of Esther, Tobias, Judith, Sirach, Baruch, and Maccabees because of his self-claimed righteousness and new teaching that led many people astray. He even removed New Testament like James, Hebrew, Jude, and Revelation. But later his followers, that the Protestant churches, which we know today as the Pentecostal churches, accepted the New Testament removed and leaving the Old Testament. He removed the book of James because he thought that faith without good work is sufficient to save man's soul. So when people begin to talk about the book of Enoch is not in the Bible, even the Jews were not even using it as of those days, because it does not glorify God. In fact, we have the Gospel of Judas Iscariot. Imagine what Judas Iscariot can write. And then we also have some other books that does not glorify God. If you check what it is considered to put a book as part of the Bible, you understand this. So those things they say they are not inside it have never been in it from the first day. And then, please, if you do not understand any teaching in any church at all, especially the Catholic Church, I will suggest to you that you humbly, without bias man, ask the Holy Spirit, who is the owner of the church, if what this book is saying is right or wrong. It's not about you reading something in the Bible and thinking that you have gotten it wrong. No. Some people have come to me on this regard. I asked them to pray, and the answer they received from the Lord surprised them. In fact, some of them left their church to join the Catholic Church, and because of the understanding and the revelation they had from God. And some join other churches that are not even their church and are not Catholic also. Now you know the origin of the Bible. Your curiosity about all of these teachings, where is into the Bible and the rest of it, will cease or will reduce. Okay, now you have to just share this knowledge to people. It will help to nurture people, it will help to bring people to understanding. And then subscribe to this channel, join the Facebook group or page, and then the Telegram group for more updates